Yeah.
Okay, so welcome to the Harrison House. Harrison House is on the Las Vegas Pioneer Trail. It's number 8 on the trail. The Pioneer Trail documents some of Las Vegas's important beginnings. Harrison House is on the trail because it talks about the role of African American entertainers in Las Vegas. Prior to the early 50s, black people were not welcome, or anybody of color weren't welcome to sleep or enjoy Las Vegas Strip activities because America was a pretty segregated place. And the entertainers had plenty of money and they needed a place to live. Miss Harrison, being the businesswoman that she was, built this fabulous one-bedroom suite to house famous entertainers. So people like Sammy Davis Jr., have you heard of Sammy Davis Jr.? Pearl Bailey.
Yeah, I heard of Sammy Davis, I heard of.
Great. So Sammy Davis was known as the best entertainer, not only in America, but in the world. So this was one of the places where he lived when he stayed in Las Vegas. And so we have acquired the home so we can bring it back to its original condition like it was in 1942. This is what we're doing at Harrison House now. Not only are we going to renovate the home to restore to preserve the history, but we're going to do it in such a way so that it's energy efficient and sustainable, so that we won't have a power bill. We want to turn our smart meter backwards. And so we're also demonstrating new technology here at the house, new green technology, and this is a solar-powered cell phone charging station.
Can I charge mine now?
I don't have the key to it, but we got to get the key. Another company has offered to power the house with methane. We don't know if that's the best practice or not. So we're working with the International Air and Space Education Foundation to teach us what our best practices in making historic homes sustainable. Just jump. Okay, so this is the 1942 home. This is the original home. In 1942, the home stopped at this wall here. So this was added on in the 50s. So if you had walked into the house in 1942, you would have gone through that door. But we're going to go through this door since it's open. How's that? So this is a carport, and it was used for parties and entertaining, and we're going to bring it back and do the same kind of thing. So we believe, because of what we've been told, that this was the room where Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and all the famous entertainers gathered for parties because they couldn't party on the Strip. So they partied here at the Harrison House. And so this was the party room. And we're told also that sometimes there were so many people living here that they actually had to have people sleeping in each one of these rooms, and they were cording them off for sleeping quarters. They told us about one night there were so many people living here that Miss Harrison had to actually sleep in the bathtub. So it was so crowded. Okay, so come on this way. So you can see that this was the 1942 home. This was the exterior wall. And keep in mind, this was still a one-bedroom suite. So in 1942, this was the sitting room. Because in 1942, we would have come in through this door. We would have come in from the front porch, and we would come in this door, and we would have either gone to the right for the sitting room, or we would have gone to the left for the living room. So let's go into the living room. So this is the room that we understand was ripe with conversation and musicians. This is where they would sit around and talk and tell stories and play. And there was only one bedroom, and we call that the Sammy Suite, and we'll go there next.
Sammy Suite.
So this room, we have begun to decorate with themes from times in Sammy's life. He was a very interesting person because he, as a black man, very famous black man throughout the world, but had a very terrible history with his relations in America. So on these walls, we're looking at Sammy's career in entertainment. You can see some of the people he hung out with, like Muhammad Ali and Michael Jackson. And this wall talks about his community activity and his civic life. You can see him with Dr. Martin Luther King and performing, you know, because he served in Vietnam. And then Sammy's demise, because we know that he had a terrible history of with drug addiction and alcohol at one time in his life. And then this wall is going to talk about the women in his life. You know, because he married a white woman at a time when it was not acceptable, he was an outcast from the black community. And he still has not gained wide acceptance in the black community in Las Vegas. Okay. So now, this is not how the kitchen operated, we're sure. But we're doing a lot of fundraising here, so this kitchen we use just to support the house. Now, in 1942, this would have been the very exterior wall. So we would have stepped out on the back porch. So all of these rooms were added on again in the 50s because there was a big demand for sleeping space. Okay, now we're going to go around to, and you can notice how the doors interact because every room can lead to the outside. You don't have to go through the house. So this room leads to the Sammy Suite. This is where Chef Joe's working today. Oops, and there's somebody working in the Sammy Suite. We're just going to ease on through. Okay. So you can see for 1942, this would have been a very spacious one-bedroom suite with a full bath and a walk-in closet. Unheard of in 1942 in any Las Vegas hotel room. And you can see the Sammy Suite had all of these different ways to get in and out. We believe there was a door where he could escape through the front, or he could escape through the back, or he could go back through the main house this way. Okay.
It is. It's interesting.
And so now we're back again to the front.
How many rooms are total? I mean, I got lost.
We got, there's only one bedroom that you saw in the main 1942 house.
Okay.
That was the Sammy Suite.
The Sammy Suite. Okay.
And remember, the two rooms on the back were added on in the 50s. Now we're going to go to the back of the house and look at the caretaker's quarters. Georgette Dante also is here. She has her offices here. She is out of Ringling Brothers, Bailey, Barnum and Bailey Circus. She's been in the circus since she was Carnival since she was 3 years old. She starred in major motion pictures. She's a magician, and so that's why the birds are.
Entertainment director?
Yes.
What is?
And she's on board here to help do the fundraising because a lot of entertainers have expressed interest in helping with the house, and she's coordinating all those efforts. Our next big activity is going to be Earth Day, April 21st, and we're expecting the entertainment community to come in and perform all day. Yes, and we'll have green vendors and that. Okay, so they don't want me to go past the fence, so we won't go back there. But there's another 550 square foot, careful, spot in the back, and that's where Pearl Bailey lived with her family, because that was for entertainers who had families. They kept the kids separate. So the property is 0.15 acres. The main house is 1,700 square foot roughly. And when it's finished, it'll have 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. And once we're done, and this is going to be a garden, and once we're done here, it's going to become a home for veterans. Okay, for our activities.
How many living quarters?
We'll have 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. And we'll just use the front of the facility for meetings and tours and stuff. Okay. And so it'll continue to serve as a civic center, a community resource center, and quarters in the back. Because of the way the sun hits it in the morning, whenever you get ladies come to the house, they always sit on the porch. They love to come and sit on the porch. And the stories that you hear on this porch are just incredible. I've learned more sitting on this porch in the last 2 years than I've learned a whole lifetime. So we're going to start having a series of conversations on the porch. You're invited. Prostitution was rampant. You could see the women just on the stroll. I mean, it was like 10 an hour just strolling. It's always good to have a choice. Did you have any questions? Because you just showed up in the middle of this. What's your name?
Carlos.
Carlos, ¿cómo te llamas? I said, typically when we give the tour, of the Pioneer Trail, we come here and you enjoy a soul food lunch.
Well, for how much?
We're working on that. We're working on that. We're developing the tour now. Because it has to include transportation, knowledgeable guides that tell the same story to everybody with hopefully historical facts, and then having the tour of the house. We're also working with the area churches to have the people go into the church and enjoy a spiritual hour as well as part of the tour. So the tour will include round trip transportation from wherever we pick you up, a tour of the African American community, Negro spirituals, the Harrison House, and lunch. How much would you pay for that? It's the opposite of Sin City, and it's a place where you can go and get food for your soul, or soul food, or come and get a piece of heaven before you die. You know, so we could take what we've learned through our biblical teachings. People are coming here because they love the Bible, they love the church, they love the spirituality. So why not sell them more religion? You know, let's do a walking trail that has, yea, though I walk through the valley of a shadow of death, I fear no evil. As you're walking down the street, you should be reading this stuff. And if we're going to do something with the vacant lands, we could plant all of the flowers from the garden. There's only 3 that I found, and replicate the trees, the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Gethsemane, so we can start having these conversations and become more educated about the Bible itself.
And each of these garden spots could be sponsored by Coke, or...
That's another disconnect, because I'm always careful to make people, or ask people to the community buy in. What do you mean by community? Who were you thinking of when you said community?
The people of the neighborhood.
You were really thinking neighborhood?
Yeah.
So the people in the neighborhood, yes, have bought into it. The community doesn't know about it. Okay. Right, exactly. Right. That's why our neighbors know pretty much. Why we're here at Harrison House, we are creating a resource for the community. We acquired this house in 2009 because we believed it was so important to the preservation of African American history. We have very little preservation efforts going on here in Nevada as far as Black history is concerned. And I've come to the conclusion that Black history is one of the best kept secrets in America. Just a little bit of background about me. I am 57 years old, but I was born on an actual slave plantation in America. My parents left the plantation in 1969, so I say that's when I became a free citizen, when I left the slave plantation in 1969. And so my parents took me to Boston, and that's when I learned about slavery in America. It wasn't taught in the schools that I went to in Arkansas, so I had no idea what my background or heritage was. And a story I repeat probably too often is how I grew up thinking of where Black people came from. Because where I grew up, there were no Black people in the books. There were no Black people in the school books or in the Bible even. So I always wondered, well, where did Black people come from? So I asked my grandmother. And of course, she said, dear child, in the beginning, all people were Black. And there was this wonderful great river, and all the people in the world were racing toward this river because the water was dwindling, it was declining. So there were some people who got to the river and they were able to swim in the river and swim in the river, and the more they swam, their skin would turn white, their hair would turn blonde, their eyes would turn blue, and their sins would be washed away. Okay, Granny, so well, what happened to us? Well, we didn't get to the water before it all went away, but we got to the water just in time to do this. And so that's how come we're like this.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so that's how come the bottoms of our feet and the palms of our hand are like this. So I grew up thinking that's where Black people came from. Okay, but of course we have to pray extra hard because we didn't get a chance to swim in the water. We have to go to church every Sunday, pray extra hard, and be obedient people so we can get to heaven. So when I was 14 years old and I got to Boston and I learned about slavery, I got really, really ticked off. I was mad at my grandmother. I was mad at America. I joined the Students for a Democratic Society. I was following behind Angela Davis. I was going to tear up America because I had been a slave in America and didn't know about it. And fortunately, there were some nice people in Boston. They had all these programs. They sent me to Europe. Get rid of her. So I went to Europe on an exchange program. and I learned to speak Spanish, and I learned to have a better appreciation for America. And I realized that there were black people in other parts of the world who were doing fairly well, who had not been slaves in America. So I kind of came to terms with it. But I was still at a loss with what to believe. I didn't have a solid base on which to base my cultural values. Like, what traditions do I follow? What should I believe in? Should I be a Muslim? Should I be a Catholic? Like, what am I? Because it was all taken from me. So I went on this quest to figure out a foundation. And so finally, as an adult, I made my way to Africa, and I visited the slave quarters and the cities and the villages. And I found some people that looked enough like me and ate the same kind of food I ate. So I decided that that's where I came from. But I did not want to live there at all. I was so proud to be back in America, I came back singing. So I learned to have an appreciation for this country and for our values and the things that we believe in as Americans. And I find that there's a lot of similarities in the African American communities in Las Vegas or in cities across America as there are in the African villages. And that if blacks in America knew their history and knew from where they came, we would have much better citizens, because we have a lot of challenges in the inner city, and especially among African American people, because we have the highest unemployment, we've got the highest incarceration rates, we've got the lowest performing students in school. And I believe that part of these challenges could be addressed if these people, or if our children, just knew who they were and had an appreciation for the country that we live in. So when we discovered the Harrison House was empty and for sale, we decided that we needed to preserve this history. We was African American Cultural Society at that time. No, Black Historical Society at that time. Black Historical Society at that time. Just before, a little bit of history about, and this is how Stanton and I came to work together. I was working with the African American Cultural Society at the time, earlier, previous to this, and we were still trying to preserve, protect Black history and educate people about our history. So we stumbled across this project called Moulin Rouge. And Moulin Rouge was the first integrated hotel and casino in Las Vegas. And it's had a very trying history. It was never able to achieve any measure of success outside of the first 6 months of its opening on a large scale. And we believe that it was because of the racism that was so prevalent in the city that no Black-owned hotel casino has been allowed to exist in Las Vegas. So we lost the Moulin Rouge. It suffered 4 fires in its lifetime. Finally, the city just declared that it needs to be torn down. So we lost Moulin Rouge. So this was our next effort. We're going to save a monument to Black history. So we acquired Harrison House. And so we started out trying to raise money for Harrison House. $5 here, $20 there. It wasn't happening. We just weren't getting the support that we needed because the house was in my name. Catherine Duncan had bought the house. So finally, we had to find a nonprofit organization that would be willing to take on bringing this project forward. So we convinced the Ward 5 Chamber of Commerce that this would be a good project for them. Ward 5 Chamber of Commerce now owns the property, and Ward 5 Chamber of Commerce's business strategy is a little bit different from the Black Historical Society, because the Ward 5 Chamber believed that the best way to bring this property and the community into a better future is through going green, sustainability. So we got a Black History Challenge and we got a sustainability challenge. How do we not pay a power bill at this house? How do we grow our own food? How do we use healthy and safe products? So this is a learning experience for us. We believe if we can teach ourselves how to be sustainable on this property, we can replicate that effort throughout the community. Because we found that our major challenge is paying the power bill. And then the next obstacle is paying the water bill. And then there's the trash bill. Then there's the phone bill. So it's the utilities that have us in poverty. So we teamed up with an organization called Green for All. Their motto is building an economy strong enough to lift people out of poverty. So that's what we believe we're doing. We're learning best practices to lift people out of poverty, using sustainability as our system, using Black history as the vehicle to draw people in. So we say we take Black history and a green economy for a golden opportunity.
I like the colors. Sounds to me like some branding.
Easily branded.
Well, because we have a challenge with identity. We don't know kind of what to call ourselves, and we've had a problem with what to be called from the beginning. My birth certificate says I was colored. And so we went from being colored to Negro, to being Black, and then African American. Now my children are not even considered African American. They're Americans with African descent. So we have to overcome those challenges. And I think part of overcoming the challenges is to educating people about our past so that we can grow from it and have a better future.
Great premise, I think. This, your vision, this house, the marriage of all these things, huge opportunity, huge challenges. I think it's a dream project for my students. I really do. There's so much here they can do with it.
Well, I hope so, because we seriously, we having branding issues. Like, who are we, and what are we doing?
What do you have now? What have you done as far as branding or publicity?
Well, let me tell you, we just got a big lawsuit settled. We were sued because of the name we selected for ourselves. And we lost the suit because we didn't have the money to challenge the people who sued us.
You mean Harrison House?
No, we're back to the Chamber of Commerce
We're
again.
back in, kind of, we switch hats and reels really very quickly around here. As the Ward 5 Chamber of Commerce, one of our as Kay was just mentioning, we initiated a green initiative. And from that, then we started an organization, or a branch of our Chamber of Commerce, called the Las Vegas Green Chamber of Commerce. At that time, there was no other organizations operating in the Las Vegas Valley, Southern Nevada, or even Northern Nevada, as far as we knew, that was using the name Las Vegas Green Chamber of Commerce. So we filed our fictitious name and reserved the name with the state, and began doing business as Las Vegas Green Chamber of Commerce, organizing businesses to join us and affiliate with us to better their products and services, or introduce their products and services to the community, and network with other businesses that were doing like things or needed that opportunity. Along came another group out of San Francisco that was organizing major cities along the West Coast as a Green Chamber of Commerce organization, and all these would be affiliated from the San Francisco Green Chamber of Commerce to San Diego Green Chamber of Commerce. They then came to Las Vegas, is my understanding, and began organizing here in the Las Vegas Valley, signing businesses up as the Las Vegas Green Chamber of Commerce. Thus, you have two trains, one railroad track, trains proceeding toward each other. We didn't really feel that we were really doing the same types of things, because our primary function, as Katie mentioned, was to use green as a means to eliminate poverty, particularly here in the inner city, and use that as a means to train people in the green collar economy jobs, introduce our neighbors and friends to weatherizing and retrofitting their homes and their businesses, and saving money on their power bills, and conserving water and their other sustainable
activities.
Materials and elements. They seem to be on a different track doing something else, and that's why we didn't know they existed, because we weren't doing the same thing. I think the big crossing of the swords came He claimed, they claimed that several of their members became confused when they tried to join and realized that there was another organization. I think the one most humorous that comes to mind is when the other Green Chamber comes, put the full court press on pursuing this company called Deco Lights. And they were trying and this beating this poor Ward 5 Chamber of Commerce in the ground saying, they're bad people, and you don't want to be affiliated with those people over there because you're Deco Lights and you're doing LED lights and you're doing 21st century lighting. You don't want to be involved with someone that's greenwashing. Well, the gentleman that he was trying to recruit, A, was sitting on the board of Ward 5 Chamber of Commerce, and B, happened to be the son of the founder of the Ward 5 Chamber of Commerce and this other downtrodden group that was out there greenwashing people. So like I said, we never could come to an agreement. And they had recruited all the bigger law firms in the Las Vegas Valley, or they represented clients of the bigger corporate entities in the Las Vegas Valley. So even when we entertained the idea we were going to get an attorney to try to fight them, we couldn't find one locally because all the attorneys had a conflict of interest because they had the whole ball game sold out. So it's kind of like, well, one, we don't have the money to fight anyone in a lawsuit over something as stupid as the name Green Chamber of Commerce. You know, we got better sources and uses, and plus our board was like, let them have the name, we'll just, here, take it, fine, you know.
For a fee.
For a fee. Well, for a fee, or just take it and go away. We are trying to do something here, and we don't really need to fight you over it.
Well, we lost the suit.
But we lost the suit because we couldn't fight the suit.
Right, exactly.
We didn't lose the suit because we did something pervasively wrong. We lost the suit because we didn't have the resources to fight the suit, and nor did we really have the willingness to go out and tax our members to say, give us more money to go fight the suit. A couple of our members wanted to fight the suit legally. Other of our members wanted just to go out and fight them, period.
But let's go back to the house though, because we were talking about how we have a problem with identity and what we call ourselves. So that's,
you know, he made a valuable point that is an integral part of who you want to become. A name is great, but there are other ways to brand besides the name, and there's other things besides green. And you know, instead of taking sour grapes, you could say, green's overused. We'll try something else.
Well, what we are doing here is we're doing an extreme green home makeover. And we are televising each major activity that goes on here for television rebroadcast. And we've aired 3 shows already. So we want to do 7 additional shows because we haven't really gotten the message out there. We don't have people knocking on our door saying, okay, how do I reduce or eliminate my energy bill? So until that happens, we know we haven't reached our goal yet. Because there's a model in Portland, Oregon, where they're doing it. And so this is a model project where we're trying to replicate the Portland model.
Is the Portland model toward overcoming poverty?
Yes, through using sustainability initiatives. And one of the things that the Portland model teaches us is not to throw away so much stuff. So we throw away enough stuff almost to get us out of poverty.
Portland's big on recycling, so it's a good culture that they have to start to work with there.
Look at how much food we consume in Las Vegas. Imagine the aluminum and the plastic, and yet we have no remanufacturing facility here in Las Vegas for recyclable products. And right now there's some crazy legislation on the books that says it's against the law for us to sell our aluminum to California, even though we get $3 a pound over there and we get $1.60 a pound over here. So there's some silly stuff.
It's about collecting rainwater. You can't collect your rainwater in a bulk measure here because the water district needs to do their recharge back into the Colorado River. So they discourage people from having a cistern or some sort of water collection kind of thing so that you could collect the water from your, from the 6 times a year that it rains. you know, or whatever, and you can let that water and then use it for your gardening purposes or whatever other purposes, but they, you know, they don't really put out brochures and say, don't collect your water, but it is frowned on. Things like that.
But here's what we, our challenge is to take the information that's already there. The water district's doing a really good job with its rebate programs.
Right.
Because I don't want to, you know.
No, this is not the bashing of the water district.
Utilities they have a lot of programs out there. It's just that the public doesn't know about them. I mean, right now, you can, if you retrofit your lawn and you have a grass lawn, you can get $1.50 a square foot rebate if you get that lawn done. But people just don't know about it. I have a landscaper who's my next door neighbor. He just bought a landscape company and he didn't know about the water district's rebate program. And he's a landscaper.
They've done a lot of publicity on that.
Right.
Yeah, but publicity is one thing, but you got to get people to believe what you're saying. When I get a little letter from NV Energy saying, let me show you how to reduce your power bill, am I really going to believe NV Energy wants to teach me how to reduce my power bill? They do have a program, but people just don't believe this stuff. And if we knew how critical it was to reduce our energy use right now, and how we need to get going on it right away, because that's our way to start. Utility workers make a lot of money. They're well-paid people. There has a resolution came out from the organization that regulates public utility commissions. They claim that by 2015, which is only 2 years from now, 50% of all utility workers will reach retirement age, and they're calling it a gray tsunami. So there's not enough people to fill utility worker jobs right now, and it's a national emergency. So if they've declared a national emergency to get utility workers trained, why aren't we training future utility workers starting at the 6th grade right now? Why we should, you know, our whole public school should be focused on getting utility workers trained. Or
be able to work in 2 years. They'd still be in the 8th grade.
Well, we still need to get them trained for the future. And even the out-of-work carpenters, all the out-of-work union people should be right now in class transferring over so they can become the future utility workers. So I say the demand for the workforce, we're not training to meet the future demands of the workforce, because there's a disconnect. There's simply a disconnect. So our job, as I see it as a Chamber of Commerce, back to the Chamber of Commerce, and the reason for Harrison House, is to bring education and resource to the inner city. Because if people have the information, they'll make better decisions. They just need to get the information, which they don't have.
So this is going to be some sort of a resource center as well.
Yes.
As a historic site.
Yes. Yes.
We'll use the historic aspects of African American history and the making of the entertainment capital of the world as a means of getting folks inside the house. People would come to the house to learn about African American history and making of Las Vegas. And once they get into the house, then they will be able to discover all the sustainable features that went into making the house. And then you can start to talk about the sustainability of your lawn. Why are these windows the way they are? Why is the lighting done the way it has been done? Oh gee, it's nice in here. Why is the floor done this way? Then you can start conversations on so many other levels once you have more or less a captive audience. You know, it's a lot easier to. We said we're just going to bring the house here and talk about sustainability. You may or may not get anyone that's interested in listening. But if you want to tell them the story of Black history, you can get a lot of people who would be interested in that. And then once you're here, you can then introduce them to other subject matter. And then you can do other things. You can introduce a new group of people into a jobs training program because they came here, because maybe your lecturer was also going to say, this is how you get a new song on YouTube. And you know, we can show you how to do that, but now that you're here. But before we show you how to do that, let me tell you about other entertainers. Imagine if Sammy Davis Jr. and the Will Maston Trio would have had YouTube back in their day, and would have been able to show people their dance moves and routines, how that would have influenced their bookings, and people would have been able to see what great showmen that they were along those lines, and imagine how many other people would have maybe had a deeper appreciation for their skill. Because for a long period of time, after tap dance became, say, passe in the 1960s, you know, I know a lot of black males like myself didn't want to be associated with tap dance. We may like to dance, but you ain't gonna get me to do tap dancing, because tap dancing was more associated with a part of our culture as a black male that we simply didn't want to be a part of. It was.
And to me, that's so sad, because we've been taught not to like ourselves and not to appreciate our culture, that the things that we should be holding on to, that somehow they're bad. And so I say, imagine if we had 100 young black males from this neighborhood in tap shoes. What a difference that would make in their lives. Just putting them in tap shoes and giving them a musical instrument. And so we have lost our part of our spiritual self is wrapped up in our culture, is lost because we're not passing on traditions.
We keep waiting for institutions, in my opinion, to do those things. One of the good things about the Chamber of Commerce is that its membership are made up of business owners. And as an entrepreneur and an owner of your own business, you can make those decisions about how your workforce looks, how your workforce acts, what kind of spirit and enthusiasm you bring to that. As an African American business or an entrepreneur, you know, in my generation, we were taught to go get yourself a good government job and then retire from that, and that's going to be your, you know, your salvation. Not go out here and get a good idea and turn that idea into a business and work for yourself and hire other people. And I think, you know, that along with some of the things that Katie's mentioned about in your identity, you know, what makes a community, what makes a business organization, those kinds of things, you know, sometimes I don't know if we instill enough in our younger generation to be individual leaders, you know, not just team players, but maybe be the captain, or maybe even be the team owner, dare I say, be the team owner instead, and still be a team player, but be the owner of the team. You don't necessarily have to be the star quarterback. Why not be the owner of the team? I think, you know, you get less bumps and bruises and a whole lot bigger paycheck.
Do you have a business plan, a timeline? You're laden with lots of great ideas that are related to each other.
And our challenge is being able to focus our effort and energy and our limited resources into specific areas where we get the most for our time and effort. Because you can see with so much going on, we can easily be pulled into too many directions. So we finally decided to focus on Harrison House. What is Harrison House? What do we need to do to get started? I would love to have this complete by Veterans Day. We were shooting for Veterans Day last year. We missed it. We made some major milestones, but we want to do a complete renovation. We have been so grateful to have some major donors who have promised to provide solar panels for the house. Helix Electric, an entire array of solar panels. Cool Solar has already shipped over a solar-powered air conditioning system. Our next challenge is to get enough money to buy the materials to have this stuff all put on, because we want to do a complete renovation. We want, when people drive past this property, we want this to be the wow. Wow, something can happen on the west side. Something is going on over there. Something is different. We need $187,000 by my current estimation. I've got a few more tweaking to go to make the whole thing work for the next 12 months.
Now, do you have a business plan?
That was it.
But what about beyond that? What about a timeline? How does one thing lead to the next? I would believe that it's a lot easier to get people to donate to something when they know what's going on 5 years down the road.
Yes.
Not just, what am I getting just for the donation now?
Okay, well, our goal is to replicate our efforts here throughout the community. If I stand on the front porch, I can see more than 50 vacant homes and an untold number of vacant lots. We want to transform this neighborhood, not just, let me just say, we won the distinction of being the 4th most dangerous neighborhood in the nation 2 years in a row. We want to transform that stigma to being the neighborhood that's most sought after in Las Vegas, a place where any American would choose to live, and we're starting with the veterans. So our goal is a complete transformation of this West Side neighborhood. Because of the unique history and culture that's here, we think we're sitting on a gold mine.
Now, along with that, when you say timeline, this is the first step. So if we can achieve our goal of getting this, complete the extreme green renovation by Veterans Day, then we can take a look at our next step of the one square green mile for the, and put a 5-year time frame on that, because then more people will say, you know what, that's possible, I see that they can do it. If you'd have driven by that house 6 months ago, you know, they would have been in one state of affairs, and now it's complete, and now it's a showplace. So 5 years from now, maybe the 1 square green mile will be completed. 10 years, 5 years after that, you know, it's a choice neighborhood, you know. 15 years after that, no one will be able to afford to live in the neighborhood. We'll be right back where we start. But don't put that in.
Okay, those are big dreams, I understand that, but what does it mean come November that this place is finished as far as a green home? What about, there's going to be a demonstration, there's going to be a museum aspect to it, there's
well, right now,
what does that all entail?
Well, right now, we have the home open for anyone who want to come by for information. We have a wealth of information. We have brochures from every utility. We have rebates available. We know how to get that done. We want to have daily tours. We want to bring the tourists. We want to open this community to tourism, because it's been segregated for over 80 years. So we want to bridge that segregation, that Bonanza Road segregation, where people in the community don't feel welcome over there. People over there are afraid to come here. We have to change the image of this neighborhood through our activities. So just to have people be able to flow freely. Right now we get, they tell us 30,000 visitors every week come over here for church on Sunday. But the minute church is over, they're gone. So we want to create opportunities for people when they come over here to stay over here. We've got to capture them. Church. We've got more churches per capita.
They have connections to the people that go to that church?
This is where God lives. This is where God lives. We've got more churches per capita here than anywhere in America.
In
right?
West, in West
Las Vegas. So
maybe that's where that rumor came from that Las Vegas does. Because Las Vegas, that's a big rumor that's been around for a long time. Las Vegas itself does not.
Yeah, there's
But
about
you're saying here in
this community.
Stand over a crap table that many hours. Guys in your hand.
You're gonna
call to somebody from a higher power, because you gotta get that hard sex.
And if you don't, before you go home and see your wife, you gotta pray that you have a real good story, because the rent has got to be paid.
So that's the religion you're talking about.
No, I'm joking.
I know you're joking.
I'm joking, but
they come here because the churches are here.
Yes.
The churches are here.
And the people are here. Obviously, the people are the churches. It's not just the buildings.
Generally speaking, that is true. But in this particular case, it's the buildings that are here, because the people leave after church. The 30,000 people that come back into this neighborhood.
So why don't they go to church elsewhere?
Because this is, as Katie says, this is where, in one sense, God lives, but in another way of stating it, this is where their church home is. This is where they're used to coming to church. This is where they come back to, almost as.
Well, you had mentioned in your discourse that
That's a nice way to put it.
you would like to see people have a reason to fulfill the desire they have to come back here because they know people, their families here.
They see
But
those.
they don't have a reason to come back now because I wouldn't want to live in that neighborhood.
Yeah, and
if you remove that
if
aspect,
you remove that veil
but
of it,
people are here that attract them, and that's the core of any community is
Right.
the people. So you're saying there's a great community here.
there's a great community.
It's just the infrastructure sucks.
Yeah, but it's more of than just the infrastructure, the framework of it sucks, if you will.
Well, let me interrupt there because I don't think the infrastructure sucks.
Okay, good.
I believe we've got a beautiful infrastructure, but it needs to be built on. We've got some fantastic churches. I mean, right here, Pentecostal
yeah.
Temple, Second Baptist, Victor, Pentecostal, G&J, these big, huge churches that have 3,000 to 10,000 members each. Okay, we can see them from our front porch. That's our infrastructure. What detracts from our infrastructure is the vacant land that is not producing anything. So if you enhanced what's here,
Right.
it would be beautiful.
Right, and you got to increase some other opportunities there. There has to be opportunities for shopping. There has to
Yes.
be opportunities to recreate, go to restaurants, to buy some shoes, to shop, to visit a library, have a cup of coffee.
So you're saying that the
there's not? Did you drive by the
property
Starbucks on the
values-
corner?
It's the property values that
It's not the
limit
value of the
coming
property.
back?
No. It's not the value of the property. Don't. The property values, I think you might suggest that, one might suggest that this property or this area has no value. It has the best freeway access in the entire Las Vegas Valley. It's within walking distance of downtown Las Vegas and the glorious Fremont Street and East Fremont Street. It's within walking distance to the Smith Center for the Performing Arts. It's within walking distance to City Hall and the Clark County Government Center and the outlet mall. So, I mean, if you want a livable, walkable community without, this is where it's at, but there's a disconnect. There's no,
We got a bad rap. We just got a bad rap. We just got a bad rap.
And it doesn't have the other new modern, when they build when someone sees a new house or a new structure being built around here, it doesn't happen. No one's building, we have all these vacant lots, but no one's building single family homes on them because of the bad rap.
Well, I think it goes beyond the bad rap. I think that there are some hidden developers who are very, very politically tied that have a stronghold on the community. And any single family home, once it becomes vacated over here, gets burned down and leveled, and pretty soon the city owns it back. So there is a invisible backdoor eminent domain going on somewhere. That's my belief.
For what purpose?
For future development. I
Look
mean,
at any major city in the United States at one time, and then a good classic example is Los Angeles with the development of the Staples Center. Before the Staples Center and Las Vegas Live was built, that was the West Las Vegas of the LA area, the Baltimore Water District, the new place where the New York Nets have their basketball team and arena. These are places that were, quote, the worst parts, and then all of a sudden you get a big project in there, and then all of the, not so much all of a sudden, then you get, like a super redevelopment, a super urbanization.
Yes, development brings the desirability of the area.
But what happened to all the indigenous peoples, shall we say, that lived there before,
Displaced by the development.
Exactly. And you bring a whole new dynamic comes into play.
You're telling me, and I agree with you, great location for development. Question is, does it get developed for residential or for a community that has historical roots here?
well,
Or is it replaced with commercial development that displaces that history? Is that what you're...
And I think because we are the largest concentration of African Americans in Nevada, we hold a unique place for tourists. When I worked out on the Las Vegas Strip, there wasn't a day that went by when somebody would ask me, where's the black neighborhood? We want to go see the black neighborhood. We want to go get some barbecue. We want to go hear some music. Where's the black neighborhood? And unfortunately, the concierge desk, the taxi drivers are all told, don't send anybody over there. That's not where you want to.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous. Because the community was desegregated. It was desegregated, but there's never been a move to integrate it. So the talented people, the people who had resources moved out, and it left the grandmothers, you know, and the people who didn't want to hold on or didn't want to sell their homes. So it left all the elderly people, and now you got grandparents who are raising young children in the neighborhood, and so we don't have any like 30 to 40-year-old people, you know, young people that are in the neighborhood. There was some kids playing outside on a little red wagon the other day. I almost shouted. There's some kids, you know, in the neighborhood. There's some kids. You know, I never saw a neighborhood that didn't have some children.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, this is what I meant by a business plan and a timeline, because obviously these are great ideas, but how do you bring them about? I mean, what are some of the steps that you have in mind besides, well, focusing nothing but on making this a greenhouse? Okay, so it's a greenhouse, then what?
okay, we do the greenhouse.
Is what I'm asking, because I see when this house hits the market, so to speak, you're ready for tours.
Yes.
But then what are you going to use to support the tours? What kind of communication pieces, what we call them? A brochure, some posters, or flyers, or something that you send out, a website. See, you have to prepare for this stuff just like you're preparing for your infrastructure.
Okay.
So I want to know, okay, so you have this house, it's finished, then what? I mean, the very next day, then what?
Well, we need to start reaching tourists today. We need to have a tourist stream to start coming to the house starting yesterday. Because the house is open for tourists right now. If we can entertain tourists right now. When it's finished, it's going to be even better, but right now we need to figure out how to reach the tourists. We need to figure out how to reach every convention that's going on at the convention center a year before the people get here, so we can make sure that coming to our community is on their tourist map, just like going to Red Rock or to Grand Canyon. So we believe what's critical to our success is being able to attract tourists to the black community.
So we'll need a tourist map.
Yeah, well, I think you need some signage in this house.
We need some signage. Well, actually, once this is over, we'll take out and show you the sign is already there.
Have you heard of the Las Vegas Pioneer Trail?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're on that trail. We're number 8. And so we're going to latch on to that trail, and I don't know how we will advertise it. Are we going to do a Las Vegas Pioneer Trail tour, which is a tour of the black community? But we have to latch onto that Pioneer Trail and become the Pioneer Trail, you know. And then we have to work with the city to enhance the Pioneer Trail, because so many of the signs are in such poor condition, and get it, you know, some new lighting and some new features along the trail. But that Pioneer Trail is a terrific, I believe, starting point.